need help with that?
No, I got it, thank you. Oh, it's a new month. Good morning and welcome to the September 2nd Let's Talk. Welcome back again.
Again? Again, yes.
Yeah, welcome back to my old office for the Let's Talk.
It looks so different in here. I don't hear anybody in the background playing with the ping pong table yet, but somebody will figure it out.
And I heard a foosball table's coming in. Are we getting the golf?
It's part of it's here.
Okay, so we are gonna do some
Golf and
golfing in
shuffleboard.
here and
Shuffleboard?
shuffleboard as well. Not shuffleboard on the ground, but shuffleboard on a table.
Nice.
So, coming along, and I just, again, I love going into the fitness room and seeing people playing ping pong, so.
And shooting baskets.
And shooting baskets.
Or trying to shoot baskets in some cases.
Yeah, I didn't see one of those things to pick up the basketballs like they have to pick up the ping pong balls, though.
No.
Well, let's talk about some stuff that's happening or going to happen. So, as usual, the 360 that comes out tomorrow will have a better definition of some of the things we're going to talk about today. But there's a lot of good things coming up. Again, Arizona numbers continue to look really good and trend in the right direction, along with the Westminster Village numbers. So we feel we can get more and more comfortable and get more and more back to normal. In the next, we're looking at 60, 90 days out now as a team to go, what direction are we going in? And some of the things are going to have dates on them, but most of the dates are, at this point, kind of artificial dates, because we're looking at what are the numbers in Arizona, what are the numbers at Westminster Village, and where do we think we're going to be. Many of you have probably seen now the governor had he actually didn't have a conference, it was an internal conference with Department of Health Services yesterday where the governor announced the opening of nursing homes and what that looks like. And we've been on track to do that for quite a while. In the 360, there'll be a letter coming out, there'll be another letter coming out to family members of residents in the healthcare center that talk about how we're gonna meet those plans, and the reality is we already meet those plans. But the big piece of it is, just like he's done with businesses, it's a green level, a yellow level, and a red level, and we're gonna put some of our openings on those same levels. So again, more details of that's gonna be linked to the 360 for tomorrow, and you'll be able to get copies of what that governor's plan looks like. But right now, Arizona, Maricopa County, and Maricopa County is what we are concerned with. We're in the yellow, we're in the middle. We're pretty good, not where we were 60 days ago, but not where we need to be completely, or more completely open. So as we look at that, we're gonna continue to reference that yellow, green and red kind of stoplight setup for when we open up even further, especially as we talk about the healthcare center and assisted living, but as we talk about independent living as well. So some of the things happening fairly soon. We're ready to open up the Garden Cafe. So the cafe will open in the beginning of October. Can we get a sound, like a clapping sound in the background? Wow. So Garden Cafe opening the first week in October, and I don't have the date written down, so I don't remember what it is, but I think it's the first Monday in October. Again, as long as Arizona numbers continue to go in the right direction, Westminster Village stays where we're at. And then we're going to look at Donnelly's at the beginning of November. So we plan by middle of November to have all of our restaurants back open. There'll still be some plexiglass on the tables. There'll still be some changing curtains, blocking table to table, and it'll be a reduced number, but we'll have those all back open. Again, as long as everything continues down the same road.
You know what, I've seen the inside of Donnelly's, and it's gonna take until November to empty it out.
Yeah, and Donnelly's right now it's a workstation and a storeroom. It's got all of our emergency food in there. It's got all of our emergency and takeout supplies in there. So Patrick and his team have a lot of work ahead of themselves to get us back to normal. They also use that for the Sunday brunch as a staging station to put all those deliveries together. So they're definitely, the food service team is going to be working hard. Not that they've had it easy the last 6 months, but to get us back open to where we need to be, they're going to be working hard over the next 30, 60 days.
And they'll use it for the Labor Day meal that is served around lunchtime. I really can't call it brunch because
Yep.
there's no scrambled eggs or anything like that, but
Yeah, and I think the luau coming up in a couple of weeks is really that first big, us getting back together while still being socially distanced kind of meal happening on campus. And again, that's gonna happen across campus, so it's an event where we're all back in this together, so should be a lot of fun. Again, it'll be a little bit different than it's been in the past, but we're gonna be able to have that. And looking at, I think Megan and Mike have talked about doing something like that every single month, so figuring out how do we do the chuck wagon, because it's outside, depending on where the Arizona numbers are, maybe really our first taste of normalcy.
so we'll remind residents to get their grass skirts ready
Yes,
and their coconuts.
absolutely.
I think that'll be really good
Yeah.
to get more than 10 people in an area.
Yep.
We're still limited to a room, but
Yep.
an area is gonna
So
expand.
if you need coconuts and grass skirts, talk to the landscaper or ordering it on Amazon, I think. Either of those two will work.
Or make them from the leftover newspapers,
I'm not that creative.
newspaper skirts.
All right. Along with opening up the restaurants, we're looking at opening up the gym. So Todd is going to be working with the Summit representatives to go, how do we open the gym safely? How do we get the fitness classes in place safely? And how do we do all of that without losing the ability to do that in your apartment? So one of the good things that have come from COVID is people really enjoy using, the equipment out in some of the corridors, not having to go to the gym to do that. So we're probably going to see some of that remain in place. When we open the gym again, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we won't have all of the equipment back in there. That's a small space, so we will probably have a new treadmill in there. We'll have one of the exercise bikes and the equipment that's in there now. It'll be reservation only. You'll have to do a symptom check like you do when you leave the campus, or like staff does when they come in, where we ask you a few questions, take the temperature. All those details will come out, but some sort of a gym will open probably before the end of the month. And then the fitness classes will start taking place again, hopefully before the end of the month. More detail will come out on that, but same thing, symptom checks, reservation, but we will also make sure we're doing them in the apartments still, and I think that will be part of what we do from now on. Tom Tucker's looking at putting up a camera like we have for this in the fitness area so we can broadcast those live. So, good changes coming there. Again, it's important as we open these things up, we remain safe, we continue to wear the masks, utilize these barriers so that we are keeping the possibility of spread from happening. It's not completely safe at Westminster Village or in Arizona, but it definitely is safer than it was 90 days ago, 60 days ago, 30 days ago. So again, getting back to some sense of normalcy. And our goal is, as you look at some of the dates we're doing this, we're still rolling it out slowly so we don't have to take a giant step back if something happens, that we're not taking more risk than is comfortable, but we are getting back to that sense of the new norm. The other, and really one of the major things I want to talk about is the restrictions we have on residents. And I know this has probably been the most unpopular thing I've done since I've been here, is putting those restrictions. But again, the reality is I feel really good about having done so because our residents have been safe here at Westminster Village. Yeah. I'm afraid to say that out loud, but we've had really good results. And I know those are a burden on people, and I know those are hard. But we've asked staff to change their lives as well. And we've been slowly rolling those back. I know Friday will, and again, the way it looks right now, we'll make that announcement that starting on Monday, we no longer have that extended 5 days. It's purely a 5-day isolation period if you leave campus. The way it looks right now is on the 21st, we'll go to a 3-day isolation with 2 days additional of symptom checking. And then what we're looking at is, depending on when the governor switches us from yellow to green, that we'll have no restrictions when residents leave campus. And again, you'll see that in the document that comes tomorrow. And that will define what the county has to do to be green. So once the county is safe and green, we will eliminate those restrictions for residents on the independent living side that leave campus. Now, we will still probably do some sort of a symptom check for a few days, but we won't have the restrictions on having to self-isolate. So again, more details will come, and we're still probably a month or more away from that, because the governor's not going to change us from yellow to green until we have 2 weeks in the new setting. So there's time for that to happen. And again, you'll see the chart. It makes it pretty easy to understand. And there is also something that's on the Department of Health Services website that will show us where we're currently at, red, yellow, or green. So again, that's coming, but it's going to be based purely off the numbers in Arizona and Westminster Village.
It's almost going to be scary to have the ability to leave. You know, what's the rest of the world like? How has that changed? We'll have the opportunity to see that sometime in the next 30, 60, 90 days.
And my recommendation is still be more conservative than the rules allow. You know, my hopes are we turn green and 170 people don't leave to go to Costco that day. Take your time and look and see what's happening, watch the news, and again, be as careful as you feel you need to be. And there will be people that the day it opens that do go to Costco, but we don't need everybody to do that. As the governor says it's safe, it doesn't mean it's 100% safe. Right? It just means it's safe enough to move to that next level. So again, on all of these things, my hopes are the day we open it, there won't be 90 people in the Garden Cafe, or there won't be 90 people trying to make a reservation for Donnelly's. That we'll continue to slowly roll it out. And again, assure that we can be as safe as possible while enjoying life here at Westminster Village.
You talk about all the residents going to Costco, but you know what? Residents really want to see their family.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be the first place that people go to rather than Costco. Besides at Costco, they don't have any of those free samples out yet, so.
I've seen something on TV that they're going back to that, but it's probably going to be prepackaged samples that you take home with sanitizer or something. Not quite the same.
Yeah. Family's still going to be the priority.
Yeah. And so again, along with the family restrictions, you know, we are on Tuesday going back to in-person visits and independent living, and you can make reservations by calling Kate, and I don't know her phone number because it's not written down for me.
If you call Megan at 2477, she can give you the number.
Forward you to Kate. Perfect. But we are doing those in-person, in-apartment visits, so you can have a family member come and visit. They can go into your apartment. We're still going to ask that you wear the shield and the mask, and that the family member do the same thing. You can have them in there up to 2 hours. We are going to test them before they go in, so we feel pretty comfortable. The first week or so, we are going to have a restriction. So if you have a family member come and visit, you're going to have that isolation period just like you would if you left. Within a couple of weeks, we're going to eliminate that isolation period, so that when you have a family member come and visit and they've been tested, you can do your normal thing as if you didn't leave. And that, again, we'll have the dates on that. Tom Tucker's asking, can that family member give you a hug? And here's what I'll recommend. I recommend you don't do that, but you're in your own apartment. You're going to have to make that decision on yourself. again, I think if they've tested negative, it's pretty safe. But we're not gonna recommend the hugs, or we're not gonna be in there to find out if he did or not. And again, that's an individual decision. An individual has to decide what they're comfortable with. I can tell you, when my daughter came up after she tested negative, I hugged her. It was worth it to me. It was a risk I was willing to take. But it's an individual decision on what risk they're willing to take.
Right, and if the isolation period for having somebody come here is 5 days, and the isolation period for a resident to go and visit their family and come back is 5 days, you might be better off going to visit your relative.
Yeah, and the reason we're doing it this way with that short window is there are some people who can't leave the campus.
Yes.
And this allows them to have that same visit as those people who can leave the campus. And it allows them to kind of move to the front of the list. Because some of the people who can leave the campus have already done that, but those who
Yes.
can't have kind of missed out. So we hope that first 2 weeks really are those people who can't leave the campus can have their friends, their family come and visit. So again, that's a huge positive. Again, that's been out, I think, in one of the 360s. You don't have to thank us for doing the right thing. You know, again, we're doing this because it's the right thing to do, and we feel it's safe to be able to do it at this time.
We'd
So.
still like to tell you that we appreciate it.
Well, that's good, because these other guys out there, they never tell me they appreciate it.
I believe that.
So yeah, the family visits, and again, we're in the healthcare center. We've been doing more and more of the compassion visits, and there's a definition that I don't know and can't define. But we've had more visits in person happening in the care center, which again, and in assisted living. And then we're having the in-person visits through the plexiglass, which again, I know they're not the best, but they're so much better than not having in-person visits. And I know we've been busy both in 1040 and in AO in the healthcare center with those visits. So again, a good thing of having people be able to see and, you know, even touch through the gloves of their loved ones is a great thing. So.
And I think a lot of people have had the opportunity to use FaceTime, and you find out that really is pretty good to be able to see them and have a normal conversation.
Yeah, it's a good tool. And when my daughter was in Korea, for a year we talked to her through FaceTime and Zoom and what's the other one? Skype. And again, it was way better than nothing, for sure. And my family got creative. She was playing with my grandkids hide and go seek on FaceTime. So they got pretty good at it. I just got to carry the phone around and look for her. So there are absolutely tools that work, but nothing takes the place of, you know, again, that in-person hug. Nothing ever is going to take the place of that. So, and again, we feel good about being able to move in that direction as long as Arizona continues to go in the right direction. And our staff and our residents don't take unreasonable risks. You know, again, it's important to see your son or daughter. It's important for us to see our family, but not if they're not feeling well. You know, not if they just came back from the casino. Again, it's important, and ultimately, every one of us get to kind of determine that last bit of safety. Do we have the mask on? Do we have the shield on? Do we go somewhere that's outside of our comfort zone? Do we let somebody in who's outside of our comfort zone? It's that personal responsibility that becomes even more important as we start taking down some of the physical barriers around campus, that we do that. And again, we do that during flu season every year. We make those choices on, do we go to the store at 9 o'clock at night, or do we go at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Ultimately, we have the final say if we stay healthy or not. There's only so much that the guard at the gate can do, or the person taking the tips at the door. Ultimately, it's up to us to take those risks that we feel comfortable taking.
Yeah, I know a lot of residents who outlined the risks that they're not willing to take. You know, somebody, well, I have COPD, so I have to be really careful in the choices I make. And it's interesting that, you know, before COVID, you just went about doing your business. Now you have to think about what you're doing. And my guess is that some of that is gonna stay with us, at least until we get a vaccine, but I imagine a whole lot longer than that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the vaccine is one of those things we look forward to, but there's no vaccines that are 100%, you know,
Right.
just work 100% of the time. Now, good news is in the webinar that we were on Tuesday, they're already having facilities like us sign up for a vaccine. So I think we have to sign up this week in hopes that the vaccine's gonna come out by the end of the year and go out to retirement communities. So we are working on that. So we may see the vaccine before the end of the year, or we may see it really close to the beginning of the year. Because I don't think CMS would have us signing up for something that is still a year away. But again, it's not going to be 100% effective. The flu shots are never 100% effective. But we're going to get on that as soon as we can get on that list. And again, I do think that means once that happens, we do get to open up a little bit more. And again, we're still looking at the schools are now open. Flu season is coming. It's a 3-day weekend. You know, we'll know in the next week to 10 days, is Arizona going to be able to stay on the trend we're on? And, you know, those next 10 days are going to be really, really important. So I'll say this one more time. You know, the next 2 weeks, they're going to be the hardest 2 weeks because we have all this good stuff to look forward to. But as a county, we have to still have 2 good weeks of our numbers trending in the right direction. We need to have, you know, employees who are coming to work safe. We need to have residents who are only taking the risks they need to so that we continue to stay safe here. It's going to be 2 weeks that really tell us what are the next 2 months going to look like.
Well, I'd like to, if you're kind of wrapped up on the schedule, I'd like to thank the residents who watched last week and read what came in their mailbox and voted. The vote was, we had no problem meeting the quorum, which is a certain number of votes that we have to have in total, but it was overwhelmingly positive to make the change in the bylaws that the resident council and the nominating committee felt needed to be made in order to get through this election season when we can't always have people in to interview or, you know, we miss being in that big room all together and talking about what's going on. And maybe it'll be a little smaller groups to start with, but hopefully we're going to be able to get back to some of the live meetings. But that's certainly not going to happen in time to get through the resident council elections. So you're going to have to pay attention to what comes in your mailbox and what you see on the TV at 1:30 on the first Tuesday of each month, which happens to be the next Tuesday. So if you tune into that, we'll let you know who's on the nominating committee, and we'll let you know if you want to talk to somebody about being part of the committees. Just keep tuned, and we'll let you know how that's moving along. So, thank you for voting. And watch on Tuesday. That's my commercial.
Well, and thank you and congratulations on getting that passed, because I think changing the bylaws is probably harder than shutting down all 3 restaurants and going strictly to delivery.
I think so too, but we have a lot of resident council members who were committed to working to get this done during the pandemic environment that we're in.
All right, well, thank you all, and we'll see you next week.
Same time, same place.